Sorry, folks. I'm working on it.
Going on.
Oftentimes at night we just sit and sing songs with guitars.
And the kids.
We do a lot of different stuff with music, and this is sort of an example of that.
So bear with us. This could fall apart. Yes? Let's see, does that sound good? Is this right? Show this the right way.
That's it.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Let's start it again because I don't think I hit the right string.
Okay. Right.
I don't know what happened, but it's so early. So,
Yeah. Good to stop.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. crumbling down. Babylon is crumbling down, is crumbling down. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Babylon together again. Babylon is crumbling down, is crumbling down. By the water of Babylon, we lay down and wait for old Zion. Babylon is crumbling down, is crumbling down.
This should go.
Pick up your axes and pick up your hoes. Pick up the pieces wherever you go. Babylon is crumbling down, is crumbling down.
Good as shit.
Babylon is crumbling down, is tumbling down. Babylon is crumbling down, is tumbling down. Babylon is crumbling down, is tumbling down. There you go. That's a song for you.
But that was hard, bro.
Let's see. What do we have next?
So we could do the double fiddle piece, or we could
Can you play Goose World?
say
I don't know.
what?
Can you like? Can you like try to do a Juice WRLD one?
Oh, I think some very odd sounds are coming through.
What?
I don't know who's talking.
Well, I think we'll do a double fiddle piece next. Oh,
Oh, huh.
yeah. Oh,
Wow.
interesting.
Never seen that.
I hear some children speaking in Russian. Fascinating.
Hey guys,
That's funny.
if everybody could mute themselves, and just chat, just type your comments in the chat and then listen to the concert. That would be better. Thank
This
you.
is a concert.
I think we have
Yeah.
pranksters.
Selamünaleyküm.
I was singing along. It was kind of hard.
Yes, yes.
Hey David, can you mute everyone?
Are you there?
Hey, David.
I am here.
At least it's a fun
Hey,
troll.
Be a co-host to
Who
help.
is the troll? Actually,
Yeah,
let me
I'm
talk to the
trying
troll.
eliminate the troll.
Who's
I
the
don't
troll?
think that's not David talking.
Hey, troll, who
No,
are
it's
you?
not David.
That's
I'm
David
interested.
talking.
I think David is the troll.
It's Kenneth Farid. Kenneth Farid?
Kenneth Farid.
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 Sorry.
Where
Is
are
it-
you, Kenneth?
Is it?
I don't know where I'm at right now.
Okay, I was gonna guess like Russia or something, but you sound more like
He's gone. Maybe.
Oh,
I removed him.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm very happy to report that I figured out how to use that feature of Zoom right away.
Hey, Andy, you want to go ahead and make me a co-host, and I'll help kind of mute it.
Blame it on the noise. That's the reason why I messed up that
last
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'll try, Bobby.
The troll was singing along, so I think it was probably pretty good.
Yeah.
So
what are we doing?
no, we could either do Dwight's or we didn't put Soldier's Return on there.
Whatever you want to do.
You want to try Soldier's Return? Say
Sure.
Dwight's?
Yeah. What's it in?
D.
D.
Do you do that in high bass or?
I can't remember. I'll just.
It's interesting, we used to like really kind of hone in our concerts and things like that. But it's all pretty loose now. Kind of fun.
You never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
So let me make sure I'm with you.
Oh, there's the Russian children. We might want to watch for them too.
Oh, because it's
There are some children that were speaking
or
Russian.
something.
Is their name actually Salami?
I don't know. I just looked at it briefly. Okay.
Well, we're going to play one that I got out of an old book. Actually, can you hand me that little black thing right over there? I might as well show this.
This?
That one, yes, please. So this is my little folder of old music. And,
Oops, sorry. This tight quarters here.
inside the folder is another even older folder. An older folder made of leather embossed with these Byzantine or Romanesque figures. And then inside there, I have a copy of Howe's School for the Fife, published in 1851 in Boston, Massachusetts. And inside of Howe's School for the Fife are lots of wonderful, wonderful tunes. And I actually learned to read music out of this book. I didn't read before I got this book. But
Just this year. Right?
Yeah, I started last year. So, but in here is a fine tune called The Soldier's Return, right there, I believe. We're going to play a little bit of that for you. Learned out of Howe's School for the Fife.
I'm having to move around the cat.
No, there's a cat down here.
And if it gets too crazy, well. Sorry, that's a tune.
Little Soldiers Return. Let's do another song real quick.
Yeah, and then we'll get into.
We also, I guess we took Ding Dong Daddy out of here.
You know if that goes by another name, Howard? It sure sounded familiar.
Hi, Melinda. So good to see you. I don't know. I don't know the tune at all, except from the book.
Okay. I've played it. I just don't know what other name I learned it under.
Okay. Yeah, I know that when I learned it, I played it for some people, and they said that they had heard it before. So I guess folks do play the tune. Not like it's an unknown tune, obviously, but I don't know if I know that.
So we'll do with more little singing one here, and then we'll get into workshop stuff. Yeah.
Sure. I was kind of okay. Yeah.
Well, what did you want to do?
Well, I was thinking. I don't know. I kind of was feeling the Ding Dong Daddy.
Well, let's do that then.
Okay. Not that. I mean, but that may mean two more.
We'll just get it. We could take a breather if the workshop. We need a little breather in the workshop for whatever reason.
We're going to play a song that is kind of one of the first ones that I ever really learned to play on the guitar, but it doesn't mean I play it great. It just happens to be one of the first ones. But we used to sing this because my uncle was from the town of Dumas, Texas. He was born in Dumas, which is out in the Panhandle. And we used to sing this song as a kid to him called the Ding Dong Daddy from Dumas.
Ready.
1, 2, 3. I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas, baby boy. Better see my stuff. Wild Papa from Polecat Hollow won't get treated right. If you see just what we got good rhythm and we swing it hot. I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas, baby boy. You better see my stuff. I'm a ding dong daddy from Dumas, babe. Boy, better see my stuff. Home Papa from the Panhandle, Mama won't get treated rough. When me and T we get to town, if you set 'em up, we're gonna knock 'em down. I'm a ding dong daddy from a Dumas, babe. Boy, better see my stuff. from Dumas Bay. Boy, that's my stuff. I'm a wild hopper from Polecat Hollow. Won't get treated rough. If you want to see just what happened, we got good rhythm and we swing it high time. I think a dong and from a Dumas Bay. Boy, that's my stuff. All right, there's the ding dong daddy from Dumas. Well,
It's fun.
perhaps we can. Are we going right into the? I guess we could go right into the. Wait, I need to take off my performance hat and put on my workshop hat, and we'll switch over to workshop mode, right?
I guess so.
Okay.
What are we going to teach today?
Well, let's see. How
I'm
many?
looking at chat, so if you want to write in there. And thank you for enjoying the concert. Good.
So
You guys can
one
write.
thing we were thinking about: do any of y'all play a tune called "Dandy Lusk" in the key of G? Do you play that tune?
Wait. Let's see. We got one with the thumbs up.
Does that mean you play it, or that you? Oh, you do play it.
Do
Okay.
play it. All right.
So should
I
we?
just see one. The other thing we were going to do possibly. Oh no, we did that on Patreon. I think we nixed that one altogether.
We could. I mean, we could try Dwight. But I know that's probably not ideal for you. What about?
That doesn't make any difference.
We do the other
it's
one.
just the seconding part. You know, I mean, not. I don't mean it's the seconding part, but I mean it's like a waltz.
Yes,
So
that's true.
That's really what I would like to start out with.
We could do the other one, I guess, out of the book.
Someone said Waterloo, which I don't know how we can play that anymore. But you know, if we did a cross tune and Old Joe Clark, so if we did a cross tune, we could really get into some interesting seconding.
Yeah. Do we have a fiddle I can cross tune?
Are you serious? You can't cross tune that one?
I don't want to cross tune. I could cross tune Lucy's. Actually, Lucy's.
Or that other one. So Howard's like being a little whiner about cross tuning.
Stay in standard.
I don't know that I can do everything I do in standard. And do you know? Yeah, I know Steve Mason. Who's that? Debbie. I used to work for Steve a little bit. And some people say we cross tune, and somebody else has said Dandy Lusk.
Well, we could teach a few. We have some time.
Let's
just start with Dandy Lusk because we already said that. But and the second thing would be nice, and
yeah,
we'll try and knock the tune out real quick.
Maybe what might be helpful is you just playing it really slow. How about I'll let you do that?
Well, let's play it together. Let's play it together,
okay.
and as an example of the way that we play the tune. Apologies, Christy. Hopefully that you can pick something, glean some from this.
Here, D.
Now, Bruce Green got this tune from, I think, Man and Cam, and I heard him play it a long time ago, so I don't really to play it the way Bruce does, or it's just the way that I play it after having played it for many years, and I kind of went back and listened to Man and Campbell's recording recently, and it's pretty close, pretty close.
As far as seconding, this is like one of my all-time favorite seconding tunes, and when we get into that part, we'll talk about why. But mainly because it covers all of the 145, all of those little pieces that you need that I love.
Well, that's Dandy Lusk. It's fun to kind of really dig into that tune a little bit. Haven't played it in a little while, but let's check the chat here real quick.
Also, like while we're talking about this, can report that the gain is too hot for
two fiddles.
So
okay.
Turn down a touch for the next one.
Okay. We'll do that.
All right. So while we're just kind of talking, we thought of several ways how to do this, and unfortunately we couldn't use two computers and separate people. So we thought it was actually important to maybe also learn at least the basics of seconding along with the tune, because if you're still new to seconding or still question of whether or not you want to know anything about seconding, This I can promise you is that if you think of seconding as like your groundwork to fiddling, all of your fiddle tunes will probably start sounding better. We'll talk about some cheats today to help you find those important spots and those chord shapes to work on intonation, as well as learning a cool tune.
Well, why don't we, as you so often say, do seconding first?
Oh, seconding first?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't you do
Somebody said something. Let's check the chat, make sure that we're doing okay.
Why don't we do the seconding first, and then we'll do the tune?
Okay.
That way we can, work on some skills because the tune is so chord based, at least, when I originally learned this tune and the way Bruce Green plays it, he drops his E string to a D and it becomes more of a drooler, and it's really fun. But I, as Tricia said, I just don't retune my fiddle like I used to. I have fiddles around that are in different tunings, but I just don't retune this one. But all those, there's just all these chord shapes you're using in the melody, so it makes sense to touch on chording first.
So I know some of you have taken like workshops with me before. So what I'm going to do is give you kind of like, this is the cliff version of the cliff notes of what I normally teach when I do workshops, because otherwise I don't know if anybody's worked with me. You could spend a whole week on talking about seconding and all of the things that you can do with it and still not really feel like you know what you're doing. So I'm going to give you the pieces that you need to feel like you're strong at this. If you don't have a piece of paper and a pencil in front of you, this would be a good time to do. I know you can go back and listen to this, but there are 3 basic shapes that you must know. And these 3 basic shapes, you can go a long way with this. And the 3 shapes actually represent a 1 chord, a 4 chord, and a 5 chord. And in almost all of the old-time tunes that we all play, luckily, they almost all have a 1 chord. They definitely almost all have a 5 chord. And if you're lucky, they have a 4 chord. So with the 3 shapes, you can kind of start navigating across the instrument. So I'm going to kind of tell you what was to me when I was a young girl. Not that it couldn't tell you what chords I was playing, but I learned a lot from my grandma who played mandolin. And this is what she taught me. So this is the important part. Basically, she said to me, if you play your ring finger, and we're going to talk about the fiddle going from the left side of the instrument to the right, like you're reading it. So all of this stuff that I tell you is moving from left to right. She says if you play a ring finger, you can always play an index with it. And I call that the 3-1 shape. So you got a ring finger and an index finger. So that means here, you have a 3rd finger here, which means you can play the index finger there. Nice little chord shape. 3rd finger here, nice, another chord shape. 3rd finger here with the index, another chord shape. So out of that 3-1 shape, you automatically have 3 chords. Just making sure that nothing here is going on. All right, once you have a 3-1 laid down, and the index finger also has a complement that goes with that, and that is the middle finger. So whenever you have an index finger laid down, you can move to the right of that and always play the middle finger. The tricky part is just knowing whether the middle finger is actually in the natural position, which means that it's closer to the index, or if it's in the sharp position, which means it would be closer to the ring finger. So I'm going to let that soak in. So 1-2 shape. I'm going to get here a little closer. So if I have an index finger, that means that middle finger can be right next to it, or it can actually be spread apart into that big shape. All right, there's 2 shapes, 3-1, 1-2. Here's the next one. If you are playing a middle finger, and this is in the high position,
On which string?
It doesn't matter right now. Anytime you're playing a middle finger that's in the high position, not the low position, but the high position, its complement is the ring finger, which is the 2-3 shape.
What do you mean by the high position?
I think I already said it,
You
didn't I?
did?
No, maybe I didn't. I think of the middle finger either being in the natural position, which is low, or the sharp position, which is high. So like I said, the 2-3 shape works when the middle finger is in the high, sharp position. And what you have here is, if you do this, I'm going to do this quickly, is that if I start with my octave ring finger on G, or on the D string, playing that G note, without knowing what belongs, the 1, 3, and 5 for the chord shape, I can find all of my notes by doing the cheats I just told you. So here we go. There's that ring finger, and if you can remember that the ring finger has an index complement, there's that 3-1 shape. That's the power chord for G. And if you have the index finger laid down, you can play the middle finger on the string, and that's your 3-1-2 shape. That's also a G chord. We'll go back down that 3-1 shape again, and now since I'm playing the ring finger here, I get the middle finger for that 2-3 shape. And those are the fingers that the notes that you have to play when you're in G to make a G chord. Now, when I was younger, I had no idea what that meant. And if you're like sitting here today and you're just like, oh man, this is too much for me, I don't know what this means, just remember the 3 basic shapes. The 3 basic shapes will get you through thick and thin times. We'll do one more here just for fun.
Well, I want to say also about these shapes, they're just so, they're what the fiddle was built for, it's because your finger's right in the right place, as long as your anchor, or what do you call it, the boss finger, or
the boss finger.
As long as that's in place, then everything's naturally going to fall right where they should, and they're all either 1, the 3, or the 5, right?
Yes, they're all.
So we got the 1, the 3.
You better be careful here.
1, 3, 1.
Don't make it muddy.
3, 1.
All right.
Okay.
Howard's doing some great work.
Just for those of you who are more note oriented. Some folks are note oriented. Some folks are just visually oriented.
And I'm sure some of you are saying like, okay, yeah, this works for G, but what about my favorite key of D? Can I really use this? And just real briefly, I'm just going to show you that if you start with your D octave on the A string, there it is. And remember what goes with that ring finger? Well, the index does. There's that nice big 3-1 shape for D. And since we have the ring finger laid down, that middle finger can go with it. There's some D work. And since this middle finger is laid down, its complement, there is that 1-2 shape. So there are all of what I call landmarks for D. You can do this for C, you can do this for A. Unfortunately, C has one exception. I'm not going to even go there today because some of you have either already done this and you know what I'm talking about. Some of you are still kind of like, I don't want to know anymore. And you can always like message me later about how this all works. I see some of you smiling. It's really hard to talk about it abridged, which is the right word, right? Because so much of my fiddling, if you're wondering how I'm fiddling, it's all about those finger complements. And if you hear me do any seconding, hardly ever will you hear me jump from one octave of the violin to another octave. And what I mean by that is that I actually use those finger complements to move across the fingerboard. So if I'm starting on the G string, I'm going to do all of my seconding with G and D. When I decide I'm ready to move to another octave, I use the D string to help carry me along. So now the D and the A by using what note I was using on the D string. And so what we'll do is we'll practice just a few things here real quick. G is my favorite thing to start with. I'm sorry, I'm feeling distracted by Howard here. Somebody's in the
No.
last 4 digits of the phone.
I don't know if that's to us or not, but message us if it is.
Yeah. Okay, so here on the G and D string, which is all we're going to focus on right now, if you can find your 2-3 shape, middle finger on that B note and third finger, ring finger on the G note, that 2-3 shape now is your G chord. If you have problems playing that together like this, then you can use this exercise to do a bow rock. Hopefully that sounds good. If you're not sure if it sounds good, lift up your middle finger to reveal your octave G, and then try again. All right, 2-3 shape is our 1. In the key of G, your 4 chord.
One thing, I just want to interject. There's a lot of numbers, and sometimes that confuses people. There are the fingers, and then there are the chords. So just be aware of that.
I'm trying to hone in on this. Matter of fact, just so that I'm not guessing, can somebody just write in here in the chat, if this is brand new for you, can you just write brand new? Because I see a lot of familiar faces, so I don't want to pass over, but I also don't want to backtrack. So, ready? If it's brand new, there's 1. Anybody else? 5. Okay, there's 1. Anybody else? And it's okay.
It's good to know.
It's good to know so that I won't spin forever on it, but I just want to make sure that if you get the 3 things, looks like we have 2 people. Okay, so here.
Yeah, one thing is I don't want it to get confusing throwing numbers out, because some people don't think of chords in terms of numbers, but in our brains, and especially Tricia's, she's switching back between her finger numbers, the chord numbers, shapes. And then I, of course, threw in note numbers too at one point. So just forget anything I say. Just ignore me. Okay.
I've been working on presenting this for some time.
I'm usually
to make
I'm not interrupting. Sorry. I'm making it worse.
Okay, so going back, remember that 2-3 shape right now on the G and D string, that is our G chord. That is our root chord if you need other things. That 2-3 shape is your home place for G. The next chord that you need to know, because we're playing folk music here, is the 4 chord. The 4 chord in the key of G is that 3-1 shape, which is a C chord.
G, A, B, C.
So find your C note, if you know what that should sound like, and then add your index finger to it. And if you're not sure that that sounds good, you can lift up your ring finger and play that open G, and if it sounds good, like this, then you have a nice groovy C chord. And I obsess about getting these in tune. I'll give you maybe something later to practice that. Okay, remember 2-3 shape, 3-1 shape, and finally we have our 5 chord right now, which happens to be the 1-2 shape. And it's the 1-2 where there is the bigger gap, because you're playing an A note here and a C.
F sharp.
So yeah, thanks guys. As I've said before, I never pay attention to what notes they actually are. To me, they're all shapes. So this 1-2 shape where you're playing the A note here, if you play that with the open D, because it's representing a D chord right now, it should sound good. And then when you play the middle finger, there's that 1-2 shape. I love this shape. To me, this is the money shape. Like I said, if you're still new and your 2 strings to ring together, you can always bow rock these until you're working on intonation. But that 1-2 shape is so lovely. Not to make things confusing, just to let you know, if it's a 1-2 shape here, it's a D. The 1-2 shape here, moved over 1, that is an A. And if it's a 1-2 shape on the other strings, it's an E. And yes, all of the shapes can be done that way. Just like 2-3 is a G here, 2-3 is a D here, and 2-3 is an A here. One more just while we're going, in case you need more reference. 3-1 is a C here. 3-1 is a G here, remembering that ringing finger is reminding you what the octave is. And 3-1 up on the high strings is a D. So I'm going to let that sink in just for a second. If you need to ask a question, this is a good stopping point, and we will move on from here. So far, so good. If you feel really good about this because you've done this before, give me a thumbs up. That way I know that I see several. Okay. Here's where the seconding comes. I'm not going to go any further, but those shapes and those landmarks is where I build all of the movement for seconding. And I keep it very simple. For example, if all I did was play a in tune double note chord like this, or the C chord like this, or the D chord like this, and I did nothing else but try to match Howard's bowing. Let's just do an example. I'm going to do this with my closed shapes, which I don't normally do, but just so that you can hear how this works. No, please don't.
Which one?
You just did?
Oh, okay.
So my point is that just being able to play the chord shapes can get you a long way here. The part I would probably do with this is simplify them, which I'm going to give you real quick. If you play a 2-0 shape instead of a 2-3 shape, you have a cheater D string to help you get it in tune. So that's the one I normally use for a G chord. If you need a cheater string for the C chord, you can use this O1 shape. But I almost always voice the third here, or the first and third. So I almost always use a 3-1 shape, but like I said, if you have to, you can use the open G. And if you need a simple D chord, you can use the 1-0. So I'll just do kind of what my practice would be. That's what I spend a lot of my time obsessing about. The more you get those notes in tune and you feel confident about that, probably more fun you'll have, and so will others around you. So, seemed like a good overview on seconding. We'll get into more details later. And maybe this would be a good time to learn the tune a little bit.
Okay. All right.
And make sure I'll help you, but to talk about those shapes it's played out of. Oh, we haven't even did what tune we're going to learn.
What?
Oh, haven't yet?
Yeah, we played it together.
Oh, it was in D, isn't it? Shoot.
What?
What tune did we just, what tune
Dandy
are we
Lusk.
teaching? Oh, are we teaching that?
Yeah. What tune did you think we were teaching?
I don't know. Maybe that tune that you got out of the Fife book.
Soldier's Return?
Yeah.
No, I think we were doing Dandy Lusk.
Oh, good. Boy, I almost had a moment. Okay, good. Let me see what's going on here. I think what we'll do is we'll have Howard just play it really, really slow here. Good. All right. Lots of folks are. Thank you for the feedback. I will keep checking.
Now, one thing to think about with that 3-1 shape, which is the G and the B on the A string, is that, you know, a lot of times that's your potato you start out on. But this one kind of starts out, I think of those shapes when I start out on this tune, even though I'm not specifically hitting a chord, because I roll up to the third finger and then I go to the B. One more. Kind of hard to loop that. But, you know, you got that little pinky that's going to pop up there. Of course, if you're tuned in G-Dad, which is the original tuning for the tune, you don't need a pinky. But you're going to have to learn it right now. So here's the first phrase. We're rolling up to the G note, and then our last note's going to be the D note in that phrase. So we're rolling up to the G note, pinky. Sorry. Then, next phrase, we're moving to the C note. Let's hear that in context. Because I want to do that phrase first, because the next phrase is one that's a little odd, at least the way that I play it. I wouldn't know if Bruce plays it this way or not. It's been too long. Okay, here's the next phrase. Little triplet.
Okay.
Again, that's that G shape, the 3-1 shape. And my bow lick is just a simple down, up, down, up. So it's down, up, down, up. All those notes are just on 4 bow strokes. Let's hear that in context. That's the first part.
Keep going.
What chords are you playing there?
Mainly just G. I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. Is anybody interested on my part?
I'm
okay,
sure
all right,
folks are
all right,
interested.
okay. So I'm gonna base my beginning out of this 2-0 shape. A lot of people ask me why I might choose something. I normally choose whatever is the most simplest chord shape, and hope. Tricia, maybe see your left hand. Yes. And hope that whatever I'm choosing first is not the primary note that he's playing. So that's what I'm going for here. I could just da da dum dum bum ba dum bum ba dum bum ba dum da 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 dum dum.
or five in there.
Yeah, I often hear like a C chord. I would never move to the C chord, but I'm giving that a voice right here. Will you play it again? Here's that little lovely 4 chord if you want to give a hint to it. Right there.
And of course, that's playing the E note, which is in the C chord.
In the C chord. But so that's the beginning. We'll get into more of it later, but I wanted to let you see how knowing the chords and the chord progression helps you a lot here. Which maybe we should talk about that before we get into much more. Maybe
Okay.
That's okay.
Back to the first part.
Sorry.
We roll up to the G note again when we're opening the tune. Then you don't roll up again when you return it. Very short. So roll up on the first part. If you want to get real fancy, you can add that in, but don't worry about that. I don't think it helps the tune that much to add the...
In case you're wanting to know what he's doing, other G chord shape, but I don't have a good cheat for that. You just have to know that if you have a 1-2 shape, then you can also have a 3 on top of that. And so,
for whatever reason, we always call that the bluegrass G. I think because
yeah.
we always hear bluegrass players playing that. But it's basically your D note, extra G.
Yeah.
All right, so first part again.
Just talk about one little thing here because I feel like it's important to impart even just fiddle, like the most fiddle knowledge you can get. When you hear what the tune sounds like when we're both playing one single note, the hardest thing about playing with another fiddler is understanding their intonation. And I say that like in an interest, I don't know what I mean by that, except that everybody's ability to intonate is on like the spectrum of like really good intonation, or it might be really good that requires a little slide into it, or it might be even intonation that is almost there, but then it builds and then it gets there. Listening for seconding is kind of a really big deal because I could think that my note is really good and really on, but if it's not matching his, it will sound really, really bad. Trying to get this accordion sound with 2 fiddles, start listening to your open strings. You can hear that when we go to open strings because that is your ground zero. You have to be in tune with the open strings and then build from there. So let's just do one note because I just want you to hear what this starts to sound like when it gets in tune. So here's us figuring out our tuning. I'm going to add an open string. Okay, good. And then the other thing I want to mention is that when we build tunes, we actually think a lot about bowing and how much weight a note gets. Meaning, like, if you've never thought about this before, but notes don't just really do this. Sometimes a note has a build and let's go. Sometimes it just is a note to get to the next note, but you're listening for if the other fiddler has a build to their note. And so when I hear Howard build his note, I'm going to build mine right along. And that's when you get that like hopefully, if everybody's in tune, you get that nice wavy accordion sound. So hopefully that might help you a little bit when you're thinking about your intonation. Okay.
So the second part is all, again, based out of that 3-1 shape with a little C chord in there, too.
I'm going to just actually give you shapes while he's playing.
Wait. Let me do it a little slower. And so there's that 3-1 shape. And then walking back up into the G from the F sharp. F sharp, G. Landing back on that B note. And then into your C chord. F sharp, G. Open D. One more.
Okay, G chord. 4, C, G. So they're 4, 5, 1.
Let me talk about something real quick there in that part because I wasn't being very clear when I was playing it at the beginning, and then I kind of figured out what I was doing. And there's this funny little pause. Again, if you want to learn this tune, incorporate it into your repertoire, then you just sort of take what I'm showing you here and you find your own way around the tune. You can listen to the source, you can do all kinds of things, but eventually it's going to become your tune if you choose to learn it.
Says Howard, back up
Okay.
a little from the mic.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks.
Let's see. So here's that phrase. Oh yeah, what I was saying was there's this little pause here. Right there. And then basically you just start it again on that B note. Sorry, I was wrong. It's the A. It's that. It's A, B, A, B. Okay, now here's some of the chords that you can play in there. That one, right away, the 3-1. Just leave your third finger down. C chord. 3-1 there. Obviously, there's some triplet stuff that sort of happens in there that you can add in or not. And another thing I want to talk about is that when we're playing this, I basically, when I play it the second time through, I kind of drag the bow a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that's just something I added to it. Here's what it sounds like. I think it just does it the same way in the source recording, but I can't be 100% sure because it's just a tune I play. You know, I haven't studied it too carefully, except the way that I play it myself. So here's where that little bow drag happens if you wanted to use that as a variation or something. First off, I'll start with the way I just showed you. Basically sliding into that B note. All those nice big chords. And the chords are just the ones that she just showed you, the 3-1 shape and the 1-2 shape. That being the G chord and the C chord. Let's see. I think we should just try and play this tune. I know that it's always tricky trying to teach a tune on Zoom because I unfortunately can't hear you guys, so I don't know how you're doing. But play along with me.
Hold on for just a second.
And
what I'm going to do is, I probably should have had this prepared, but we weren't sure what we were going to teach today, and so I didn't really write out anything. So how does all of this chord work, and actually, how does this help you? So I'm going to give you kind of the next step to kind of get used to your chordal work. And then what we'll do is kind of go into the seconding here. So if you bear with me just for 1 second.
By the way, time is...
Well, time is what?
Like 10 minutes?
Oh, I thought we had 2 hours. We don't? We're done at, we're done in 10 minutes? I
believe so.
Are we done in 10 minutes?
We just got a message. Let's check that out. 2 hours, but when did we start? 4 p.m. Okay. All right. So
we have 40 minutes, right?
Okay.
We don't do math anymore.
Okay. So we got lots of time. Good.
D back to G. So this is pretty much all that your A part does. So if you can remember that there's one little D chord at the very end to wrap you around to the G. I don't know, sometimes I might just let go of it. I don't really care if it's there or not. I might voice it a little bit, but I just want you to see that. And let's see, this part repeats twice. You look at the message. Mm-hmm. So you would do just that one more time. Dandy Lusk is the tune. Okay, yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, C. I might need to do it just real quick because I think it will be helpful. Can you do the B part? Mm-hmm. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. All right. So luckily, this is what's so lovely about this tune. And C, C, D to G. This is I just love stuff like this. Here's our B part. And then I will say that probably other people's chord progression may be entirely different than ours. And sorry if I'm yelling in your ear, but you have 4 G's into the C, which 2 of those I think And just make sure you have them. Yes, good. Somebody said that helps. So here's what I'm going to do while you can choose whether or not you're playing the melody, or hopefully some of you who are doing the seconding, I'll do this one more time, because if you're here for the seconding, I would advise you to go ahead and write these chords down, because we'll start out simple and then we will get more complex. But right now you get to choose what you want to do, whether you're going to practice your shapes, which one more help here, if it's a G shape, that means you're doing either a 2-0 or a 2-3. If it's a C shape, you're doing a 3-1 or an 0-1. And if it's a D shape, you're doing a 1-2, which I would not do. I would do the 1-0. But it's important to know these, because then I'm going to show you how to be artistic with what you know of your complements, hopefully. So you see that little bottom cheat?
What's your finger there? Make sure it's not.
If you need, sorry, I can't see through my bifocals. If you need those cheats, I would just write them down.
Or take a screenshot.
And
yeah, somebody said screenshots too.
So those are the shapes that I am going to use. And it's going to disappear now. Okay. Hopefully you got that. So here's what we'll do. Let's just play it. I'm going to chord with Howard.
As a lover of fife tunes and whatnot, one thing I love about this tune. One thing I love about this tune is it sounds just very 18th century to me. It sounds very old. Sounds like an old dance, and admittedly, we kind of draw out that feel when we play it.
Did you? Okay.
And try and emphasize
that.
We got
it. Okay. Here's what I'll do first. I'm just going to practice as a rhythm instrument with Howard. And so you can, like I said, you can jump in either one that you want here. You can either just work on simple chords with me, hearing those chord progression movements, or you can work on the melody. But I'm just going to, there's a chord, C chord, D chord, and back to D. Hopefully you can see that.
I'll play this nice and slow, just, a nice speed for picking up the tune, I hope. And I will start by playing single notes of the melody. And as we progress in the tune, I'll add a little bit more flourish and a little bit more chording. But I will keep it nice and straight and simple at first, just so you can get that melody under your fingers as well.
so we're going to go on to kind of talking about, we're going to use this tune to learn a lot of stuff here. So one thing I was trying to show you is that if I were new to all of this, the thing I would think about first is pretending that I was like a rhythm player. And so as you're starting to work on what these shapes feel like and what the rhythm feels like, I want you to know that what I'm primarily thinking of right now is making sure that I hit a boom chuck. Okay, so that's my boom chuck, and everything I do actually starts there. One way to make that sound is this. Boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck, boom chuck. And that's just a little simple pulse. Try that. If you're new to pulsing, all I'm doing is right in the middle where there would be a chuck, is that I'm kind of pressing just a little bit to give it a popping sound. So here's what that is again. Believe it or not, if that was the only bowing that you ever picked up from me today, you could get by with all of your seconding for a really long time and never do anything else but that little pulse where you're emphasizing a boom and a chuck. So let me just show you what that sounds like with the 3 basic chords. Let me do that once.
What am I doing?
Just play it, whichever part. So here it is. That's that same little bowing. I'm just going to make sure that I hold rhythm.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey, anybody like impressed that that's very simple? That sounds good. Kind of could use some feedback because otherwise I won't spend very long here. So yes, thumbs up, something if like was okay, good. My point, what I want you to start getting with what the chording does for you is that it allows you to start thinking what the tune really is. Here's what the tune really is. It's actually the rhythm of the tune, not the notes. So this tune to me sounds like this. Ba-da-dun dun dun ba-dun dun bun da-dun dun dun da-da-da-da-dun dun da-da-dun dun dun da-dun dun bum ba-dun dun dun da-da-da-da-dun dun. That's actually what I'm memorizing when Howard plays a tune I don't know. I'm memorizing what that rhythm is because now here's your next step. We play it one more time. I'm only going to use an open G because because this tune is primarily in G, so I'll just do that here for you, and I don't need to sit that way. Okay, I can't. All right.
1, 2.
Have a listen now.
1, 2, 3, 4. Trying to demonstrate there is that if you're kind of letting go of your left hand and you're letting go of whether or not you got 100% of the notes, whether you got 80% of the notes, whether you got 50% of the notes, you can go home anytime you're in a jam and listen to the amazing slowdowner or look at some tab or actually read notes and get the left hand work. But if you've been wanting to try to bring your fiddling up, make it sound more old-timey, make it sound like it's bubbling,
Start looking and obsessing about a fiddler who you admire and watching what they're doing with their right hand, because it's the right hand secrets that are very, very hard to get. Left hand stuff from anybody else, but when I'm sitting with somebody, I'm actually not even thinking about the tune notes. I'm watching and finding their rhythm. For example, do they have an in-lick? Are they doing an in-lick at the end of the phrase? Howard has a... He has a little particular bowing that he does there. So if I were sitting across from him, I would be trying to mimic that. And like I said, not really thinking about the left-hand notes. So maybe we should add one more layer to this. Everybody doing good, okay? Anybody like bored? Yeah, this is where I always feel awkward because it's not like you can say, yes, okay, great, thanks, okay, good.
So what are we doing?
Somebody's
Yes, okay, great, thanks. All the above.
Okay, good. It's always, like I said, it's kind of nice to get some feedback. I always feel like it's weird. I feel like sometimes I'm talking to my child when they've ignored me. And, you know, so this this makes me, okay, good. Okay, so I'm just going to add one more element to this because I'm sure some of you, as far as the seconding, like I said, in a perfect world, we would have had some people learning the melody and some people learning the harmony to this. And so this is the harmony portion. And what I want to show you is that if you can remember what your complement fingers are, at any time throughout the tune, you can navigate from one string to the other. And here's what I mean by that. If this tune is primarily in G, which the A part is, right? There's one little, you could choose whether or not you wanted to go there, but basically that A part is built right out of this G shape, the 2-3 shape. If you know a little bit about if you've done this more than just today, what you also know is for a G shape, I have an easy open here. I have that other 2-0 open. Then that closed shape is a 2-3 shape. But the one thing that we often forget is that this 0-3 shape is a very beautiful, very simple G chord. And so when I'm building a harmony to this, I will probably start out on one of those notes. That's just a given because that's how the tune works. When I hear the chord shift change, so that means what I'm trying to get at here is that if I wanted to start a harmony on that G note, I could start it there, or I could start it on the second note, or I could start it on the open notes. I have 4 places where I could start. So let me just show you what that would sound like if I decided to not really primarily play on the G string, but now I'm going to chord Howard on the D string using what I know about complement fingers. And here's what that would sound like. So now I'm going to start on the 3rd finger. And just for reference, so that you remember, this is now the 1 chord. The index finger still represents the 4 chord. The middle finger, middle finger represents the 5 chord, which is D. And then back to 1. So let's just have a listen to what, if I only wanted to play on D.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry. That's good enough. So that's not exactly like the most beautiful sound that you can make, but let me show you what happens if you try to put all of these together now. Actually, let me just do it once by myself. So now what I'm trying to do and show you this thought process is that I'm going to work from the G string to the D string, and I'm going to allow them to interconnect. I'm only going to play on those 2, but I'm going to show you how this works.
come in after you do one pass.
One pass. Ba-da-da. All right, one step further. Right now I'm working on the D and the G string, but if I had a whole new sound, remember those shapes? 3-1 shape is a G chord. In the middle, a 1-2 shape is a C. The 2-3 shape is a D. If I'd never done this before, what I would do next is try to do the same chord progression, but now move in the middle. We won't spend a lot of time here because now this is when things could feel really complicated. Let's just do it once. I'm only going to chord now from the middle. Do one more. Okay, so here's what I'm trying to get at. When I'm on the G string, I'm thinking, I'm thinking 1-4-5. G string 1-4-5 is middle is the 1, third is the 4 chord, and index is the 5 chord. If I'm going to the D string and I'm still playing the 1-4-5 of G, now my ring finger becomes the 1 chord, the G shape. The index finger is the C shape, and the middle finger is now the D shape. If I'm going to the A string by using my complements, my 3-1 shape, that 1 now represents the G chord. The middle finger represents the C chord, and the ring finger represents chord. So I'm not like going from one side to the other. What I'm doing is simplifying everything where one finger gets to represent a chord. And if you can remember to put them together, it will sound fuller. But even if you use just one finger on the D string or the A string and played along with the chord shapes, it would sound beautiful. And I think I showed you what it sounded like down on the G string. I tried to do a kind of an idea of what it sounded like on A string to just play with those upper chords. That's all I'm doing for seconding. I mean, there might be a little bit more, but for the most part, that is the basics to figuring out what to do with the melody and the harmony. Sometimes it sounds really great. Sometimes tunes don't allow for that. Like it really works well when a tune is in either the high octave or the low octave, as opposed to moving across the instrument. So my little theory of the simplicity works well in those kind of settings. So hopefully that kind of helps a little bit. I'm going to wait here for some feedback. Anything that I have said that you're like, oh, that me. Anything that Howard might need to do. Anything right here that we know what's going on.
Well, we'll wait for folks to if they want to say something, go right ahead. But one thing I want to cover before we maybe play this tune a few times together is that so I basically was starting the tune in the 3-1 shape in the middle 2 strings, the D and the A string, this guy. But one thing that's so fun about this tune and such a treat is that you can move the entire melody to the low 2 strings. And once you've worked sort of some of the chord stuff that she's talking about, this melody on the low string will become very, very easy. So can I cover that real quick, and then you can cover what folks are talking about here?
Do I need to do anything?
I don't know.
I mean, are you wanting anything? Because I didn't hear what you said. I wasn't listening.
I'm just going to play the melody
Okay,
down low.
all right.
So I'm just playing the melody down low, starting on the open G.
Good. Okay, good. Yeah, nice feedback for some folks. And anybody who is asking about a counter melody or wanting to know some other sounds with that, when Howard changes octave, first of all, think about what's happening when he does that. He's coming down into my 2-0 shape. If anybody's realizing what's happening there, that I also will say this, that if you're one that likes to play octaves, remembering what those shapes are will help you get there a lot quicker than you just being like, I hope my first finger on the D sounds good here. If you know what those shapes are, you should know that first finger on the D may not help you. The third finger will, and the second finger, you're kind of using that to help you. But when I hear him come down, I'm immediately trying to find right away which note he's not on, because he's either going to start that tune out on an open G, or that B note, or the D note, or the octave. And so figuring out where he is, I'm just now moving myself over and figuring if I need to use the D and the A string, or can I get by being just on the D. Sometimes I don't know until we actually try it, and then the next time around I will avoid it. The beautiful thing is if you play a unison note, it seems like you meant to, so it sounds great. And if a unison note comes out, you better be calculating the next time around so that I can avoid it, because right there is your first ear candy. You think it's going to be another unison, but I might throw in the 3 or the 5, just whatever happens to be closer. So that's a little bit of what I'm thinking about. I want to leave you with, at least on my part, some things that I work with. And I give my students, a lot of people I teach mainly come to me for second aid. They come to me for bowing. So here's how I put some things together, and hopefully you will gain something from this, because someone was asking about different rhythms. And so there's basically what I think of as 5 different rhythms. And there's one where you can just, if our rhythm is sound right here, you get 1 bow per pull per beat. And that would be like this. The other part to that is the one I told you that I would go to whenever I could, and that would be 1 per beat, but the pulse, though. And that actually sounds like a saw stroke, except the difference is that the pulse is smooth and a saw stroke has the rough edges. So listen between the two of them. Pulse, saw stroke. What I find a lot is when I teach folks, we all have a tendency to want to do the saw stroke when a lot of pulsing is going on. So if you're still new to pulsing and you don't do it very often, there's probably quite a few times in an old-time tune where you sound more old-timey if you changed your saw stroke into a pulse. The other rhythm that we often learn when we get started is just the shuffle. And then my favorite that I often use, I didn't use it today, is the drum kit. And what I'm doing there is I'm breaking the beat up into 4 places, but I'm emphasizing the beat and the offbeat. And it sounds like this. And I often spend a lot of time practicing going in and out. Feel like you can go in and out of all of the things together, and here's a simple skill to help you on your shapes using your open strings as well as hitting all of the closed shapes. So what I have folks do is you start on the open G and you're going to play a basic scale and make sure hopefully that that's in tune. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to add a complement to that. So for the first open G, I add an open D. The next finger that you would be playing would be the index on the G. So now I will add an open D. Nice little simple E chord. The next finger in your scale would be the middle finger. So I play a 2-0 shape. That's your simple G chord. The next finger would be a 3 on the G. So I'm going to add its complement, which is a 1. And then you get a freebie of open, open again. And then you need a complement for that index finger would be an open 1. And then your next finger would be a middle on the D, but you need its complement, which is the index on the G. Get it in tune. And then the last one, which is the G note, you have a 2-3 shape. And here's how I would play this. Work with all of those. Simple scale. Then I might add the pulse. Hopefully you get the idea. But you're kind of combining all of those elements. And if you can play that same scale that I just showed you with the complement notes, you have everything that you need to know for the key of G. And here's the big exciting news. If you do the same thing in the middle, you have everything that you need to know for the key of D. And if you do it up on high, you have A work. Obviously, there's some other things that you have to figure out as you go down the instrument, but it's all right there. And I spend a lot of time making sure that those shapes are in tune, that I feel like I can separate my shapes from my bowing rhythms. Takes practice. It's like patting your head, rubbing your belly. But once you do it a lot, it starts to sound good. And hopefully what you can do is you start out with one finger, you understand a chord progression and where the beat is, and then you start layering it from there, which is what I do.
How about we play it a few times through, and then maybe we wrap up by playing just a little presentation tune for an ender, a closer.
Okay.
Okay, so let's play this tune a few times through. We'll play it nice and slow, still kind of at that same speed. And what? Wait.
Somebody's saying something.
Yeah, I can't.
Oh, she can't talk. We'll wait here. Maybe
somebody type something.
All right, I think those unmuted me.
Okay.
I was hoping that we could get Howard to play it by himself once with his full double stops and stuff, because I didn't quite.
Yeah. All right, let's do that. How about I start it off nice and simple with the melody and go through. I'll basically do a few times through, so I'll do it simple. I'll add some chord. I'll even go low, and we'll see where we are from there. All right. Kind of missed my 4 chord when I went low, but otherwise not too bad.
Let us know here before we end if you need anything else. And while I'm waiting for people to type, here's what I'd like to say is that some of you have done seconding with me before. Once I get the chickens moved tomorrow to their new coop, I will be starting my book again. So if you're interested in that coming out, any feedback, things that you've learned from me in the past couple of years of whether it being helpful or not helpful, or you just want to be a part of it, I'm always looking for people to help me with that. If you like this sort of thing, we do it every month with Patreon. We try to put a tune out. Many of you are already there, so thank you for supporting us. Tell a friend if you'd like. And I think our big news is that we will be recording next week,
Mm-hmm.
which might surprise some folks because there will barely be any fiddling. So we need to do some woodshedding because it's a lot harder to not fiddle. But it will just be some interesting singles that we send out into the world while we're waiting for things to change. So.
How about we've got 1 minute.
Thanks.
Let's just play one tune. There's
Okay.
not really time to. Let's. You want to do Albert Black's?
Yeah. What
Okay.
what key?
G.
G? Okay.
All right, we're just going to play a tune for you and play you out here. And thank you very much for stopping by and listening to the workshop and the concert. And it's a real pleasure to be at home and yet still be with you.
Hope you all are being safe and feeling good, and all of your loved ones and friends are doing well. We definitely miss our Florida friends for sure, and I don't know, look forward to when things open up again. So,
All right, here's a little tune called Albert Black's tune. You may have heard it before.
didn't want to end on your note. Okay.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Hey guys, don't
Hey.
leave this chat.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
Hi, stocks. All right. Hey, thanks so much, guys.
Yeah.
It was great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry
Thank
about the
you.
trolls. We're learning how to Zoom.
No,
I didn't even know that was a thing, so I'm kind of excited to know that.
Apparently
I
we
knew
got
it
off.
was, and I kind of wanted to get to know them a little bit, but that's okay.
Apparently we got off easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're having another Zoom meeting in 30 minutes, you guys, and I just wanted to extend an invitation to you. It's just where we're gonna chit chat and drink. We're gonna get have some drinks, and the men wear ties, the women wear hats, and that's it.
Okay.
So
Cool.
if you're interested at all, there's a link on our on the event page or on our page or something.
Cool. Thanks,
All right.
David. Yeah.
And this meeting link that you're on right now will be open all weekend if you want to pop in at any point. We've been chit-chatting and goofing off and sharing tunes and stuff. So
Cool.
That's great. I'm glad you all are doing this. So.
yeah, and tonight Hog-Eyed Man is doing a live stream at 8. They're fabulous.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
Tune in if you feel like it. If you're not already playing yourselves, and we'll be checking y'all out tomorrow for the Santa Barbara stuff. So.
Oh yeah. We will be checking us out too.
Yes, because that's all
was already
pre-recorded. And
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
last
so-
night the Chance McCoy concert he recorded it like an hour beforehand, and then drove across the mountain and broadcasted it from his phone, where he could get internet.
Oh.
And
Okay.
he had to sit on the hood of his car the whole time to be close enough to the cell tower. So,
It's funny.
but tonight's is going to be live, so it should be fun.
Awesome.
Anyway, thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
All right, thank you
Thanks,
all.
everybody.
Thank you,
Lots of
guys.
fun. Thank you. Bye.
All right, peace and out.
Yeah.
Well, that was our workshop, Tricia Spencer and Howard Raines. If the audio was a little bad, apologies. It was a Zoom meeting that we were then streaming through my laptop onto Facebook and YouTube. So the audio may not have been the perfect, and video was a little choppy throughout. Sorry about that. Tonight at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a live stream from the duo of Hog-Eyed Man, which is Jason Cade and Rob McMakin. It's going to be on our YouTube channel. It's going to be on our Facebook page. We'll blast it everywhere we can figure out where to blast it. And I just encourage everybody to tune in and please tip the bands if you can. Bye.